Hel- Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're here only a couple minutes later. That's forgivable, right? Cherie, Kay, how are you ladies doing tonight?
All right.
Good.
I'm doing good.
We've all been really busy. I know the three of us. I'm going to try to quickly get through chat here really quick as I try to stall for some time. Oops, that was me. Sorry. So I'm going to say hello to Linda, not my verbiage. Ripper, thank you for coming again. We really appreciate all the support from all of our YouTube friends, Linda and Ripper, and those of you who have been doing it a little bit longer. You know, your clout brings much to our channels as well. So thank you. Cherie, you're in chat. That's amazing. You're gonna hear me do a little shouting here right now. Nini, my red light is on, honey. That means you can't come in. I love you though. I have this, I have light on my door. So if I'm recording or whatever, that way people know not to come in. But the 5-year-old, none of that applies to her. So she doesn't care that the red light is on the door. Anyway, so Alice, thank you for coming. Cherie, thank you for being in chat.
Cherie, thank you for coming.
Hey, you're not saying anything.
Hey, thank you for coming.
Hey, you're not in chat. I'm addressing people in the chat right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm rude.
Yeah.
I think I'm funny.
You are funny.
Okay.
You are a funny lady.
All right.
Don't you guys think Kay's funny? She's pretty hysterical. She's just chuckling.
Okay.
We have Alice. Thank you. Dark Side is here. Jack. Jack is here. Thank you, Jack, for coming. Let's see. And I'm sure, because we are so engaging and so entertaining, I have no doubt that we'll have plenty of others. Oh, there's Sean. Hey, Sean. Welcome. We're just getting started. So we've had a little bit of, we've been trying to stick with a timeline with Daniel's case. Before we get started, I'd like for Kay to, if she wouldn't mind, give us maybe an update with how Daniel's doing. I know you had a conversation yesterday. Is that right?
Yeah. You know, he's just still, things are not, all the restrictions are still not removed. So they're out open in the pod and can have phone calls and video chats and have yard for an hour or so a day. But, you know, other than that, it's still, you know, no visitation since the first of the year, and canteen's still somewhat restricted, but that, like I said last week, they anticipate that's going to lift. He's just anxious to get back in the gym when, you know, all the people there are looking forward to the time when, you know, they can go to the gym for an hour and a half every day. And so Daniel is set on breaking the, I don't know which, I guess it would be, okay, I'm getting ready to show my ignorance here. Whatever it's called when you press the weight above your head from standing, I think. I don't know what that's called. But he's trying to break the prison record for most weight lifted, and he said he's going to do that this year. So I don't know, just, you know, we talked about the Super Bowl, and I mean about the two NFL games this past weekend, and he's in good spirits. Anyway, he's reading a book with us, and so we had reviewed, you know, his thoughts on the introduction to the book. That we're going to do a chat tomorrow night, just like an open panel, to talk about the introduction and maybe chapter 1 of the book. What is it? Death and Justice by Mark Furman. So you guys should join us tomorrow night. If you can listen to the book from Rhonda's, from Daniel's Truth. Rhonda recorded. What's that room called? Book club?
It's in the library, and I
Okay.
think, yeah, something in there about, I've got the introduction and the first 6 chapters are uploaded in there, so you can listen to them in there.
Yeah, if you want to catch up with the introduction in chapter 1 and join us tomorrow night for the open panel, and we'll hear what Daniel thought about it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm excited. Kay isn't telling, and I'm going crazy because, I'm like on the inside, or at least I like to think I'm on the inside, and I keep telling Kay, so I'm really anxious to hear what Daniel has to say. What is he saying? She's just like pretending like she's not even noticing I'm saying that. She's not telling anything. So it's a hi Susan, hi Shaz. So it's like it's going to be just as much as of a surprise for Cherie and I tomorrow as well. And I hope that this will catch on, the book club that we're trying to do. And even though we're trying to find ways that we can get Daniel's voice as a part of this, but we're pretty sure that several things would happen. First, it would get shut down. We know that the prison, they're very intelligent people, and not to mention, we don't want to risk Daniel losing privileges either. But if there's any kind of way that we could get Daniel's voice. But so when I say with Daniel Holtzclaw, that means that we're getting we're getting his actual thoughts and opinions that
oh, yeah.
Kay will share with us. So,
Hey, that made me think of something that we talked about when you said we didn't want to get him in trouble, because I was trying to think of a design for like a ball cap or a stainless steel water bottle. And I was thinking to use one of his tattoos, which is the Japanese characters for work hard. And then just do like hashtag free Daniel Holtzclaw across the back of the cap or something.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so I was telling him that idea and asking him to show me that tattoo. And when he raised up his shirt, he had a sleeve, which he didn't have.
Oh, okay.
So he had already been in trouble for getting, he got written up for getting that tattoo.
Daniel's getting the prison tats, huh?
Yeah, and so it looks good though. And I said, so was it worth it? And he said, oh yeah. Which that's like a big thing, because he lost his gym privileges for, like 6 months or more. It was a long time that he was grounded from the gym.
For doing the tap.
Yeah, he said he would do it again. Yeah, he said he would do it again. So anyway, that was funny. All right, I'll put hijacking the show here.
No, stop. Some of our best tattoo artists are in prison, so you get a lot of good ink from the prison tats. Although you do risk some trouble by doing that.
It did look good, but he explained how, well, not exactly how he was able to acquire his own new sealed needles. However, there's all kinds of ways to get stuff. So he's always in control of his needles from the time that he opens them out of the package to, the time that he uses them again. So he can pretty much control that anyway.
That's contraband, and we're talking about a former police officer in there breaking all kinds of prison rules.
Shit, if you get thrown into prison and you're just like a law-abiding citizen for real, you have to adapt.
Yeah, you do. You do as the inmates do, to an extent, right?
Oh, it's funny. Anyway, I guess we can talk about it since he's already been punished for it.
Yeah.
And that's what he said anyway.
Did he mention, sorry guys, we kind of are just sitting here. I hope you guys in the chat don't mind, but did he mention, I had sent Daniel a picture of the mask that I had made for him. Did he mention whether his opinion of that, or I'm still waiting for a letter, and so I don't know what his opinion of that is yet.
I don't know, but I can ask him tomorrow.
Okay, well, it's fine. I'll just wait for my letter. It's no big deal. I can handle it. I'm a
Well,
big
we
girl.
can bring it back up at book club tomorrow night.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a good
All
idea.
right. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you guys in the chat for being patient, for listening to our little conversation. But when we're in the chat, it's not just me, Cherie, and Kay. We're also talking to you guys. So we love your questions and love to hear your thoughts and opinions and all that great stuff. Cherie, are you going to help me with chat tonight with questions and whatnot? Because I miss a lot. And I was going back and looking at last week's, and I thought, man, I missed a lot of really good questions last week. So maybe if you can.
I can try.
Yeah, just even if you have to say it out loud, because you know me, I'm so easily distracted. So anyway, what we will do, thank you, Kat, for putting that in there. Of course, I can always count on my great mods. Katnit has struggled this last couple of months with her wrenching abilities due to YouTube glitches and whatnot. So I'm so grateful that she's able to be back and helping out as well. So what we're going to do tonight, we're like really stuck on this whole timeline thing, which we have decided is the best approach. And not that we've, given up the 95 hashtag facts or hashtag 95 facts necessarily, but as we went through some of those, we were finding that a lot of them were really repetitive, but in different ways. So we're really going to kind of focus on trying to stick with, for the most part, with Brian Bates' podcast timeline. But having said that, Cherie and Kay are doing incredible amounts of work, even defining that timeline even more so. So the best way, we thought, if we've got new people that are coming to listen to our show and to learn about Daniel's case, the best thing that we can do for them, for you, is to give you more of a more detailed timeline, even if some of it might seem like insignificant or whatever. Trust me, if it's in a timeline that we're presenting to you, it's very significant. So with that said, I think what I'll do is we'll go ahead and start with our handy dandy slide presentation. And I'm going to kind of let Cherie and Kay kind of read through this. I put a lot of it together in the slides. Cherie and Kay did the timeline. I just stuck it in the slides. But I'm going to let them kind of go through it and do the talking about it and give more detail where they feel it's needed. So having said that, let's get started. Am I on full screen? No, I'm not. I am now. Looks good. Okay. All right. So Cherie, Kay, I'm going to let you guys take it over, and I'm just going to flip the little switch from slide to slide. How does that sound?
That sounds incredible.
All right.
You're the flipper.
I'm the flipper. I am a flipper in more ways than you know.
And then what happens beyond Terri Morris? So we're moving on after the Terri Morris allegations. After on July 10th, Gregory goes to the Oklahoma County Jail and interviews her, and at that time he records half of his interview with her, the last half, after she's changed her story significantly to match the date that he wanted of May 8th, the date that they had ABL on Holtzclaw, so they could refine her story to that ABL. And that's what they did July 10th. July 16th, Davis and Gregory meet with members of the Oklahoma County DA's office. The 17th, the investigators, the detectives, inquire about Holtzclaw's field interview cards that he would submit. He would fill the cards out and submit those daily from whatever was happening with his shift. July 18th, Detective Gregory ran Daniel's identifying info through several public and private databases. July 22nd, Detective Davis calls Daniel's FOP appointed attorney Susan Knight. Sherry, you want to go?
For July 10th, fact, Terri Morris abruptly changed her allegations as to time and location so that she now directly implicated Holtzclaw as the police officer who sexually assaulted her. This sudden change comes after Detective Gregory suggested a new location and date for her alleged sexual assault during his June 24th meeting. Fact, that meeting and the new location suggestion comes one day after accuser Jenny Liggins went public with her allegations during a TV news interview. She now claims she was sexually assaulted on the northeast side of Oklahoma City near Liberty Station Apartments. Fact, what is happening in Terri Morris's life when she decides to go with Detective Gregory's location and timeline? She has been sitting in the Oklahoma County Jail, unable to make bail for almost a week.
July 16th, Detective Davis and Gregory. Fact, during that meeting, DA Galen Giger confirmed he would file 2 counts of felony forcible oral sodomy against Holtzclaw based on Liggins and Morris allegations. Charges were not actually even filed until August 21st, 2014. By then, there are 2 charges for Janie Liggins and 3 for Terri Morris, and several more accusers have been identified who are added to these charges. This is a green light for the detectives to continue to investigate the accusations made by Liggins and Morris and cultivate more victims.
Investigators claim they inquired with the Spring Lake Briefing Station's secretary as to the existence of any field interview cards from Daniel's May 8th stop of Terri Morris. In fact, she allegedly states she did not find any field interview cards turned in by Daniel for that entire shift. This small detail will become significant as more and more accusers are identified by detectives.
July 18th, Detective Gregory uses these databases to search for Daniel Holtzclaw, this Oklahoma State court network, and he, doesn't find anything except a link for the civil case that had been filed in January 2014 involving the death of Clifton Armstrong. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of Clifton Armstrong, who died while being taken into protective custody. Holtzclaw was among 3 other officers who responded to back up the initial officer. All 4 officers were later cleared. The civil lawsuit was transferred to federal court in April of 2014.
On July 18th, Detective Gregory also looked at OSBI, Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations database. It's Oklahoma's repository for fingerprints, criminal history information, and crime reporting. He also looked at NCIC, National Crime Information Center, this FBI's electronic clearinghouse of crime data, available to virtually every criminal justice agency nationwide. Neither of these searches showed anything on Daniel. Did he do a search for anyone else? Say, Officer Jess Sellers? We're looking into this.
July 22nd, 2014, Detective Davis calls Holtzclaw's FOP attorney, Susan Knight, tells Knight that the DNA belonging to an unknown female is discovered on the fly area of Daniel's uniform pants, and asks if Daniel would make himself available to investigators to try and obtain a list of potential DNA contributors. Knight told Davis she'd speak with him and get right back to her. According to the investigative notes, a few minutes later, Knight called Detective Davis and reportedly told her, under the advice of counsel, Holtzclaw would not come in for an interview. Reportedly then asked if Knight would obtain a list of potential DNA contributors from Daniel and then pass that information along to back to the detectives. Knight responded by telling Davis that Daniel had already given a statement and that was all he was going to give.
Also on July 22nd, Detective Davis, according to investigative notes and trial transcripts, due to the presence of unknown female DNA on Daniel's uniform pants, made the decision to seek out unknown potential victims. First, they relied on data that was pulled immediately after Janny Liggins came forward on the morning of June 18th, 2014, when Lieutenant Musney requested copies of the names of all females Daniel had run through his computer from April of 2014 to June 18th of 2014. After Detective Gregory had, at least in his mind, connected Daniel to Liggins and Morris's sexual assault allegations, he began looking more closely at who Daniel had had contact with to try and identify additional accusers.
Also,
Lieutenant,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll do it. Lieutenant Musney contacted Unit 800 and had the supervisor look up all females that Daniel had run from April 2014 to June of 2018 of 2014. He began checking the names through their Varuna system to see if any of the persons checked had a criminal history, specifically looking for women who had either a drug history or a history of prostitution. He then made a list of women who he felt we needed to make contact with to see if they were a victim of sexual assault.
I recognize that as a direct Rocky Gregory quote. It's like, who put that sentence together?
Yep.
So they start cultivating victims, which I guess, you'll see they're very interesting investigative technique. July 23rd, Musney gives Davis a list of females that he thinks could be victims of Holtzclaw. The next day, Davis and Homan start trying to locate Sherry Ellis. July 31st, Detective Davis locates a social media account and sends a message to Ellis and at least one of her other relatives. August 1st, Davis finally makes phone contact with Ellis. I think there was a little phone tag going on, but Davis calls and Ellis picks up. She's at school. So she kind of, first of all, she blurts out that, yeah, she was, Davis asks her, were you sexually, I just have to ask you, were you sexually assaulted by a police officer? And she said, yeah. And then it was, yeah, I was. And it was a black guy. And they just go about that. And like, she didn't even say it was a black guy. That was no problem. So she does agree to go in after she blurts out basically her whole story and more on the phone that actually is one of the things that happened to be recorded. And then she goes in for an interview and still sticks to her story about the short black guy and shorter than her, skin tone, one shade darker than hers. July 23rd through August, various activities and events were occurring between these dates, which will outline.
When he gave her this list, when Mutiny gave Kim Davis the list, they still had not found a match to the unidentified female DNA on Daniel's pants. Kayla Lyles was on the list. Lyles is a 29-year-old black female on probation with multiple felony convictions for possession of cocaine, possession with intent to distribute, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Lyles has served prison time for her crimes, but there's no indication that she had ever been a prostitute. What most likely made Kayla Lyles' name appear on Mutiny's list is the fact that she's a black female with a history of drugs, and what is probably most important, she appears to have had contact with Holtzclaw in the early morning hours of June 18th, 2014.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting back.
Ding, turn the page. July 23rd was a busy day. That same day, Detective Kim Davis and Valerie Homan drive to the last address listed for Lyles in the Veruna database. This address turned out to be the home of her parents. Lyles' parents said that they had not seen their daughter in weeks. Davis gave them a business card and asked them to have her call whenever they saw her next. That call didn't come for almost 2 months. At the same time, while Lyle is on the detective's radar, another name stuck out to Gregory was Sherry Ellis. Ellis is identified in the database as a 39-year-old black female, felony conviction for burglary 2, misdemeanor convictions for transporting a loaded firearm, driving under suspension, open container, and prostitution. Like Kayla Lyles, Ellis was also, or had also served prison time for her crimes.
Detective Gregory was on a 2-week vacation, so he asked Detective Kim Davis and Valerie Homan to look for Sherry Ellis. He noted in his investigative notes that Daniel had run Sherry Ellis through the Veruna system 4 times within a 2-day period, May 7th and May 8th. Remember, Terri Morris's new and improved allegations state that she was sexually assaulted by Daniel after she walked away from Liberty Station Apartments on May 8th of 2014.
Detective Kim Davis and Valerie Homan begin their search for Ellis. They rely on information contained in the Veruna database, and over the next several days, detectives visited several addresses and called numerous phone numbers listed in the database. They left cards and messages with friends and families, and I'm sure family members, and as we know from questioning at trial, they discussed the reason that they were wanting to get in contact with these specific people with these relatives so they could be well apprised.
Now, I'm just going to interject here really quickly. It's something to think about is that as you learn more about this particular case with Sherry Ellis, Kim Davis is clearly approaching friends and family members and talking to them about asking about Sherry Ellis and commenting or mentioning to them that, well, I'm looking for her because, I received a tip, which is a horseshit line from her, but I received a tip that she's been sexually assaulted by a police officer. Now she's violating some pretty intense, serious rules and laws there by giving that information to others, that private information to others. I just think that's pretty significant for a detective of a sex crime unit to be that stupid. But we are talking about Kim Davis, so
yeah.
On July 24th, 2014, they left a card at 15 Northeast 19th. Then they left a card at 2258 Northeast 16th Terrace with Curtis Jones, who said he was Sherry's landlord, and that Sherry lived there with Terri Mack, her wheelchair-bound boyfriend.
July 25th through the 29th, Detective Davis and Homan were on a mission to find Ellis. Called several numbers listed in Varuna for Terri Mack. Mack called back saying his father is the one that they were looking for, that he no longer lived at Northeast 16th Terrace and is no longer involved with Sherry Ellis. And, you know, they told Terri Mack Jr., I guess, the story, what they were looking for and why. And then ended up telling Terri Mack too. On the 25th, a person by the name of Tony Freeman called back saying he had lived at 1500 Northeast 19th 4 years and didn't know Ellis.
And that's kind of out of place. The 1500 Northeast 19th address is one of the addresses that Davis and Homan had left cards at and information looking for Sherry Ellis.
Right.
Using Facebook to locate victims. On July 29th, Detective Davis and Homan tried 5 more numbers and 6 more addresses with no luck. On August 1st, Detective Davis found Sherry Ellis on Facebook and messaged her. She also contacted Ellis's Facebook contacts. She contacted one relative, Vernon Starr, at work, who said he sees Sherry every day and would give her the message.
August 1st, Detective Davis finally makes phone contact with Sherry Ellis, who tells her story and then agreed to an interview at the office, and comes in on the 5th at 4:30.
The female is nothing more than a tiny speck of common skin cells. The same type and quantity you would expect to see from innocuous contact like a handshake, a pat down on bare skin, or even from rummaging through another person's personal belongings. What wasn't found with the DNA was any evidence of consensual or non-consensual sexual contact. No pubic hairs, no blood, no semen, no saliva, and no vaginal secretions. Despite that reality, Oklahoma City Sex Crimes Lieutenant Tim Musney and detectives Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory determined Holtzclaw must have additional victims, and they set out to identify them. Their first step? To pull the names of everyone Officer Holtzclaw had run through the police department's database from April to June 18th of 2014. From there, they eliminated all male individuals. But then, Lieutenant Musney takes an additional step. He further reduces the list to black females with a history of prostitution and/or drugs. According to detectives' own records, Lieutenant Musney then distributes this much smaller list to detectives Davis and Gregory for follow-up. For unknown reasons, every investigator questioned at trial denied the existence of this targeted list. According to Detective Davis's own report, one of the very first names on that list that doesn't exist was 39-year-old Sherry Ellis. Ellis fit the profile Lieutenant Musney had arbitrarily created. She was a black female with a history of both prostitution and drugs. More importantly, though, records showed that Holtzclaw had run Ellis through the Varuna database 4 times over 2 days and 3 patrol shifts on May 7th and 8th, 2014. On July 24th, detectives Davis and Homan set out to locate Ellis. Over the next several days, detectives visited several addresses and called numerous phone numbers listed in the Varuna database. While they were able to locate a recent ex-boyfriend, an older gentleman who was wheelchair-bound named Terri Mack, they were unable to locate Ellis. On August 1st, 2014, Detective Davis located a social media account for Ellis and sent her and at least one of her relatives a message. The next day, Ellis called Detective Davis back. The following is a recording of that call.
Hello?
Is this Sherry?
Yes?
Sherry, this is Detective Davis.
Yes, ma'am?
Okay. You sound frantic in your messages.
Oh yeah, because I don't know what's going on.
It's okay. That's why I've been wanting to find you and just ask you something, okay?
Okay.
I have received a tip on I work in sex crimes, and I've been working some cases, and I received a tip that you may have been sexually assaulted by a police officer.
Yes, I have. But I didn't say anything because I know that I know police department and police they all stick together.
Well, we ain't sticking together on this one.
Oh, okay.
So I would like to interview you.
Okay, well, it happened to me like maybe I'd say 3 months ago. I was walking down the street and I got stopped, and he run a check on me, and he found out that I had some city warrants for tickets, and he asked me what did I feel like I needed to be done, and I told him, well, what did he mean?
Uh-huh.
He said, well, what do you think that needs to be done about the situation, Sherry? And I was like, what do you mean? What do I think? He said, well, what do you think? Because do you think you need to go to jail? I'm like, well, I got tickets. Are you going to take me to jail or are you not?
Uh-huh.
And next thing I know, hey, I have to go to the bathroom because this is like very, very serious. Yeah. And next thing I know, he pulled his penis out and put it into my face. And then after that, he put me back in the back of the police car, and he took me to the park over there off of Miramar, took me out and told me to pull my pants down.
Okay.
And then he said, I was free to go, and he let me walk off. I didn't ever get his badge number. I don't know anything. I was terrified. I just didn't know what was going on because he said, I'll do that, or he was going to, I don't know. I didn't know whether if I still did it, or is he going to take me to jail or what. He was a black man.
Okay.
Okay, but I don't know his name or anything. Okay. But it happened to like maybe, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And I called a couple of people. I told my husband, and he told me to go to the hospital.
Uh-huh.
But I had sex with him too, and he said that if I had sex with him and him, it wouldn't have made no difference. It wouldn't have did any good or something.
Well,
he told me.
tell me what and I want to interview you in person. So,
okay, but he also that night when he picked me up, he also called in, and that's how he found out that I had city warrants. I don't have any county warrants. I have city warrants.
Did he do that on his radio or on the computer, or did he call you in to check you for warrants on your radio?
Yeah, he called me.
Computer?
Yeah, he called me in to check for him on the police computer.
Computer, or did he say it on the radio?
He pulled it up on the computer. And then he called in.
Called like on a telephone?
On his thing.
On his radio?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then they told him that I had. That's how he found out that I had warrants, city warrants.
Okay. What?
He was in a black and white police car.
Did he? And just like I said, I don't want to go into depth here because I think it's rude that I talk to you about a sexual assault on the phone. I want to schedule a time to interview you. But what was the sexual assault?
Well, when he first when he first pulled me over and he was asking me what we was going to do about this situation, and then I was looking down, and then when I looked up, he had pulled his penis out and had it in my, because I was sitting in the back of the police car and he was standing up over me, and he pulled his penis out and had it in my face.
Did he put it in your mouth?
Yes, he did. And then after I did that. He told me to get back. He told me I had to get back in the back of the police car, and he drove me into the park right there off of Miramar and 16th and Miramar, that park, and went in the back of the behind this building and told me to get out and pull my pants down. And I bent over, and he had sex with me. He had sex, and then he told me I was free to go, and he let me walk off.
Okay.
And after that happened, I stopped walking at night. I mean, during the day, once it gets dark, I stopped walking because I didn't want to have to go back. I didn't want to have to see him no more because didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't want that to happen to me no more, so I just stopped walking completely.
What was the name of the park?
Okay, I don't know the name of the park, but 16th and Miramar. Northeast 16th and Miramar.
Can you tell me, I lost my train of thought there. Where were you walking when he stopped you?
Okay, I was walking from my house. I used to stay on 16th and Terrace. I was walking off of Highland, and when I was walking, I went down 16th and Terrace until I hit Highland, and then I turned right going down Highland. Then I passed 16th Street and Highland, and then I went down just a little bit farther, and maybe a block and a half after that is when he pulled me.
So were you on Highland?
Yes, I was on. Okay. Yes, I was on Highland.
What? It's Friday. I'm off Monday. What are you doing Tuesday? Can I meet with you Tuesday?
Yes, you can. I'm going to school now. I'm going to school 5 days a week. As a matter of fact, I'm at school right now.
Where do you go to school?
OCI.
Okay.
I'm getting my GED.
Good for you.
And I've been going here for almost 3 weeks now. So I mean. I go Monday through Friday from 8:15 to 2:45. So Tuesday I have lectures. So it's better for me to come on a Tuesday because all I'm doing is sitting there listening to this man talk. So that'll give me a break.
What would you want a break, or do you?
Yeah, I mean I don't have enough lectures. I mean I'm not going to miss any. I'm not going to miss too much on one day.
What about this? What about tomorrow?
Tomorrow Saturday?
Yeah.
I gotta go out of town tomorrow, Kingfisher.
What about Sunday?
Sunday, I don't think I have anything planned Sunday. I don't know, but Tuesday is fine with me. Tuesday is fine.
Okay, you tell me what time and where.
Okay, Tuesday, what time and where? Where you want me to meet you up at where you are?
Yeah, you want to just come to the station?
Yeah, I have my boyfriend bring me up there. What's the address?
It's the downtown station, across the street from the county jail.
Downtown station?
Yeah, the Oklahoma City Police Department headquarters.
Oh, okay, Oklahoma City Police Department.
Do you know where the county jail is?
Yes,
Do you know where the police department is? Right across the street.
Yeah. I know somebody that knows where. Okay.
We're right across the street from the county jail, east, like on the corner of Colcord and Chartel.
Okay. Well, my boyfriend gets off at 3:30, and I'm gonna have him bring me up there.
So 4 o'clock, you think?
I'll say 4:30.
Tuesday at 4:30.
Okay. So I just kind of left you hanging there because a lot more amazing stuff is going to happen. Let me get her ugly mug off of your screen. She's ugly. She might be I don't know. I mean, maybe she's a decent looking person. I really couldn't tell you, but she's ugly because her soul is ugly. Anyway, so the next one that we're going to show you, we're going to give you the actual interview that's going to take place. And as Kay mentioned earlier, it's one of the few of the 13 accusers whose interviews actually gets recorded, we think, as far as we can tell, from start to finish in the office. And there's a lot of like unnecessary information in there, just basic fact kind of stuff that, I'll try to cut out so I don't have to waste your time with the little things. But um, when Kim Davis says in that little sneak peek we just got, when she says, I lost my train of thought, I immediately, every time I hear that recording, I think, yeah, you lost your train of thought, because first of all, she said very emphatically it was a black man. No, nothing like, I think it might have been a black man. His skin was kind of darker. It was a black man. And we know Daniel is not a black man. Then she says, and he drove the black and white police car. And we know that Daniel did not drive the old black and white Crown Vic. He drove the newer model, all black police car. So Kim Davis was undoubtedly like, okay, those are two things I got to get. I imagine her furiously writing notes at the time. Okay, I got to get it. I got to figure out a way to get her past that, because those don't fit with our Daniel Holtzclaw is the suspect narrative. Excuse me. Um, those are just my opinions on that. Of course, Cherie K, you may have a different idea about that. What you think might be going through Kim Blinkwinkle's mind when I lost my train of thought BS popped in.
Yeah. I mean, I just stay baffled that the detectives' tunnel vision, that led them to presume Daniel was guilty. I mean, whether that's exactly what happened or whether they were just instructed to participate in taking him out, and to continue to solicit allegations from additional women, all the while they're ignoring the inconsistencies in their stories, in their allegations. Just like you said, Rhonda, it's not a short black guy here, but let's massage this all around and make it work. And, we can get these stories to all line up. It doesn't matter what they say initially. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just if you can massage it enough and make it big enough and ugly enough at preliminary hearing to get to trial, that just all that matters is that by the time you get to trial, you get it all tightened up, So that was a big task, really, for them to keep all of these women that they know they're soliciting lies from. They know it.
Right.
To keep them on a team for all that while. So, they're going to furiously try to put this case together. And if they were smart enough to start at the end and go backwards, to Derek Gardner, they wouldn't have had to cultivate quite so many accusers. Anyway, that's what makes me mad.
Just one thing, right? I think Susan had asked, and then Jack asked again for her. Did the jury hear that call?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I feel kind of dumbfounded right now. I was going to defer to Kay, but I really, that's something I don't know that we've talked about that, and I don't know if they did or not. There's a lot the jury didn't hear. I can tell you that.
We'll look that up and bring it.
We'll find out. We'll let you know by the next time we talk about Sherry Ellis next week. I'll have an answer for that for sure. Just make sure that I want to make sure that we get all that correct information out, because it's important. So, and then Dark Side, now you could say this just about anything. Dark Side said Daniel's lawyer should have gotten that call into the police station to see who this guy was. Daniel's attorney, yeah. there was a lot of things that should have been done, and not everybody was as efficient as they should have been. I have to be careful how I speak about people.
And I seriously was just clearing my throat. I was not signaling you to shut up.
I was like,
I mean, I kind of did want you to shut up, but I didn't plan that.
you guys can all read into that what you want.
I'm not kidding.
No, she's not kidding. She really isn't kidding. And then Smart Duck, welcome Smart Duck, for coming to our show. What says, so they didn't have any evidence, just witnesses. They didn't have any evidence whatsoever. What they did have, it would be considered to be circumstantial, and most of that would have been ABL things. Well, what are they? What is that? Automobile vehicle locator, like a GPS kind of for the patrol cars. And so there's a lot of that. And go ahead, Kay.
Yeah, they started, that was how they found the people to become a part of the case. It wasn't that they were following the evidence in search of the truth. They were, basically reverse engineering the case by pulling up women that they knew he came into contact with because he pulled them over. He ran them. He announced his location with them. He did a normal traffic stop with them, or a normal stop and chat, I guess, as Larry David would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, the way that the victims became a part of the case was the flawed part of the whole thing, because the only so-called evidence that they had was the unknown DNA from an unknown female that they say was on the fly of his pants. But then there's a whole nother can of worms to open there, because you have to go see how his pants were collected, and
which we've shown multiple times.
His underwear weren't. So if you're, I don't
we
know.
Can definitely show again at some point.
Definitely. Yeah.
What you guys didn't see is that when Kay said the word victim, she was using her air quotes, because these are, we don't, they're victims, but they're not victims of Daniel. They're victims of the department, honestly. So as far as prosecution witnesses, Smart Duck, it was, the only witnesses that they had were technically were the accusers themselves, and then they had, like there would be a parent, or an ex-boyfriend, or things like that, that would say, oh yes, she came home and told me blah blah blah, and but there's definitely a lot of room for well, I would just say they just basically lied for them. It's like if the police come to your home and say, where were you when this murder was committed? And you say, oh, well, I was just sitting right here watching TV with my mom and my sister. Well, your mom and your sister aren't your best alibis, really, if you're being accused of something and needing an alibi. And so this kind of the same thing as the state with these accusers. Their alibis or their witnesses were people that would probably lie for them. And I don't mean to be so, I don't know, negative about it, but it's just the way it is. It's the way it was. And then, of course, they had the amazing detectives. They had Rocky Gregory and Kim Blinkwinkle Davis and Valerie Holman and Tim Musney. All of these amazing state witnesses that were involved in the investigation. And there's a lot of lying going on. I mean,
a lot of testimony that doesn't match police.
Yes.
It's so interesting, Smart Duck, to look at how the police reports don't match the document that they present to the DA for his consideration to see if he'll file charges. It's so interesting to see how the detectives either flat out lie or they just use different words to make it seem different. It's that is illegal, or it should be. We need to strip their immunity so they'll quit doing stuff like that.
Yep, that's a
huge problem here.
Yep. Very, very. The one of the biggest problems is the immunity. These guys were able to, sit on the witness stand or stand up in front of the jury and say what they said, knowing that they were lying in most of that, but because they knew they weren't going to face any repercussion for it. And why? Because they have our favorite immunity, prosecutorial immunity privilege, which I think most of us agree needs to be abolished. It's something that needs to be abolished, and hopefully we get that reform at some point in the next few years. Smart Deck, the DNA that was found on his zipper actually did belong to one of the accusers, the 17-year-old female, Adara Gardner. However, that DNA was determined, although it was lied about in court under oath by the crime lab analyst Elaine Taylor, who was one of the investigators' mother-in-laws, by the way. No conflicts of interest go on in this case either. It was a very small amount, like a very small triangle amount. I'd say no bigger than a quarter, maybe, of touch. What they classify as touch DNA, basically transfer DNA. Daniel, here's the most logical and probably the truthful theory of what happened. At some point on June 18th in the afternoon, around 6-ish o'clock-ish, Daniel responded to a call on the northwest side of town, and disturbance, public, domestic, I think it was called in as a domestic. And he responded to that call, and there were 3 individuals walking. One of them was Adara Gardner, the 17-year-old female, and then her friends, Face and Chocolate. Try not to be judgmental, but it's funny. Anyway, he responded to a call, and so he's there, and it's normal and natural and always something that's done, especially in Daniel's beat, or not route or beat, whatever area that he drove in or that he responded in. Was known for a lot of drugs and prostitution and stuff like that. And so he stopped all 3 of these individuals on the sidewalk. He did a pat search on all of them, and he did go through. And Adara Gardner, the 17-year-old female, testifies at trial that he did, or her preliminary, that he did go through her purse and searched her purse, as any officer would in this situation. And that was the extent of the DNA. That's it. The DNA, whatever he took, from patting her down possibly, and then going through her purse and touching probably her hairbrush or her crack pipe or whatever she might have had in there, and then that's the DNA that shows up on the fly of his pants. Now, if Smart Duck, I think I'm pretty sure you're really new to this case, and so there's so much that you don't know already. But in Daniel's trial, no, there was a mixture. Kate,
well, it was of at least 3 people, including an unknown male. So apparently,
but not Daniel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the unknown male could have been Daniel, but there's not a complete profile. So, they can't say, they can neither exclude him or include him.
Include him.
I mean, it would be irresponsible, and it was irresponsible of Elaine Taylor, the crime lab analyst, to testify in court as she did, to say that it was that she excluded him. That was scientifically wrong. So, I mean.
And again, Smart Duck, Elaine Taylor, the crime lab analyst who analyzed that DNA, is the mother-in-law of one of the lead detectives in the case, Rocky Gregory. Just throwing that out there. Whether it matters or not, you can form your own opinion, but which was against OCPD police department policy. So anyway, but the thing that makes the DNA such a big deal was that the DA, Galen Gigger, the prosecutor, in his closing testimony, in his closing statement, or whatever they call it, he said, he tells the jury that the DNA from the young, underage 17-year-old female victim, he says, comes from vaginal fluids, which was 100% untrue. But he lied to the jury, and the jury has said in some interviews that we've seen since the trial that the DNA was a big deal for them. That was one of the biggest things that helped them decide that he was guilty, was that vaginal fluid DNA on the young 17-year-old victims, from the 17-year-old victim, and it wasn't vaginal fluid. And there's all sorts of DNA forensic scientist testimony who have disproved that it was vaginal fluids from a female, which is, excuse me, my goodness, which is something that we've also covered. And I'm happy, Smart Duck, I feel like this is just for you right now. We're happy to give you, links to as much of this information as you would like. We've got it all over in Daniel's Truth. I don't know if you're in our Discord server or not, but if you're not, I suggest, or I recommend, or encourage you to join that right away, because there's a lot of information there that, you can find out to kind of catch up to where we are right now if you want to. And I think you want to, or you wouldn't be here, right? Oh, there's nothing pushy about me.
Hey, Rhonda, I pulled up the facts about the forensic evidence.
Okay. Do you want to share that or read it?
I just wanted to get that quote from the prosecutor.
Okay, good.
The prosecutor incorrectly stated in his closing argument that it was a fact that DNA from the walls of a teenager's vagina transferred in vaginal fluid. Wow. It's a basic tenet of science that one cannot claim the presence of a substance for which one has not tested. So, that, like Rhonda said, that was a huge, huge thing to the two jurors that spoke up and said that the DNA evidence was crucial in their deliberation.
Yeah.
That was just really incredible.
And when you hear the, I have a video of, I could probably pull it up and find it and play it for you, Smart Duck, if you wanted to see it. But I won't bore everybody else with it again. They've already seen it. But I'll try to upload it and put it in Daniel's Truth too. But it's a video that we did of a short video that we did of one of the jurors who, gives his opinion about the DNA evidence. And it's interesting. It's actually infuriating is what it is.
He says, or explains the verdict by stating that they were told the DNA was in vaginal fluid. They were told that it was he says, we were told it was from the vaginal fluid of a 17-year-old. That's what they told us. And I mean, shouldn't those jurors be pissed? They have to live with convicting a man to 263 years, although I think they should have seen through a lot of those other things. And they obviously should have been so wise as to know that they couldn't use the DNA from one accuser to consider the guilt or innocence of the other 12. That ended up being a real head shaker in the end.
If you guys don't mind, it's only about 3.5 minutes long. And I don't know, I think it's kind of a good refresher. Hey, T1, glad you were able to make it. We're giving lots of information here. We've got Smart Duck, who doesn't know as much about the case yet, so we're trying to give as much information. But I'm going to share the video that I have for Daniel Speaks, one of the jurors, and it's only about 3.5 minutes long. So maybe you guys know me.
We're still fighting together, but it's torn us up in our hearts because we know that Daniel is innocent.
The jury acquitted Daniel in 5 of the 13 cases, including Shardarian Hill, who said she was raped in a hospital bed, and Carla Rains, who 7 times denied she had been assaulted before changing her story. The jury did convict Holtzclaw in 8 cases, including Janie Liggins, where the only evidence was her word in a grainy visual of the traffic stop. They also believe 17-year-old Adara Gardner, whose DNA was on Daniel's fly.
Well, I mean, I'm not a DNA expert. They told us it was DNA from the vaginal fluid from a 17-year-old. The DNA people are pretty boring, to be honest with you.
In the case of Sherry Ellis, who said her attacker was short and black, and the GPS did not match her story, Holtzclaw was convicted on all counts. On Ellis's case alone, Holtzclaw got 63 years. Tabitha Barnes, who testified on PCP, Holtzclaw was convicted on 3 of 5 counts.
Sometimes you wonder, I mean, with the stuff you hear, did we get it right? I mean, honestly, I think we did.
Is this how the criminal justice system is supposed to work in America? Why is it that they just sort of picked and chose who to believe, not based on the evidence or the facts?
We took it count by count, went over it, discussed it, guilty or not guilty, and put it in a pile. We didn't split the baby.
Some jurors admitted they were concerned by the outside disruptions, but Speaks insists it did not impact their verdict.
The subject was never breached that if we don't find him guilty, there's going to be riots like Ferguson.
For Daniel Holtzclaw, his only hope is a favorable appeal, one based on a number of issues, including the subject of misrepresented DNA, what they call the circus atmosphere, and disruptions that pervaded throughout the trial, an unconstitutionally excessive sentence, in a jury that the defense says didn't look at each count on its separate merit.
How far will you go to get your brother a new trial?
I always said I will not give up, and until the whole world hears my outcry, I will keep on going. I will never give up fighting for Daniel.
Excuse me. I think I'm getting an asthma attack tonight, guys. Sorry, that actually made me a little emotional, and I freaking created that damn video, and I just still can't.
Get your shit together, Rhonda.
I just like it's making me. I'm a little emotional about it right now. Just watching that again. Just how the more I know about the case, the more I learn about the case, and I watched back and watched that again. It just makes me even more sick and more angry, and I just can't. It's almost intolerable. It's intolerable, and so it's yeah, I'm messing around with editing. I remember the days when I had time to do all that fun stuff. Now they're just getting a little bit sloppier, aren't they? But yeah, it was the fact that that one juror, it just was like, well, I think we got it right. It just was appalling to me. You think, you think you got it right. You had a man's life in your hands, and you think you got it right. And the more I know Daniel, the more I get to know the more I get to know Daniel. When I see and read and hear stuff like that, it just infuriates me even more, because it's a human being who I've come to care about. And and that particular juror at least thinks they got it right. So, as long as they think they got it right, that's all that matters, right?
Oh Lord, I'm gonna tell Daniel you were a baby squealer.
Shut up.
That's what I'm telling him when I talk to him. Oh yeah, Rhonda was a big old baby squealer on the show.
Calling on the show. I can't
How
help
was the
it.
show? Oh, Rhonda was
Rhonda bald. Jeez, I know. Sorry, that's kind of unprofessional, but
I'll tell you what he says. It'll be something like,
yeah. Well, you don't get to do an update
no.
next week then.
I do what I want.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So anyway, I don't know, Smart Duck, if you're still here or not, but hopefully that gives you an idea of oh, there's just so much, there's just so much. It's hard to even know what to say next. There's just it's like with Stephen and Brendan, you guys, all of you here that are from from the MAM community originally. There's so much information, you just don't know what to process next. So yeah, okay, great, thanks, Smart Duck. Hopefully that little brief video gives you an idea of just one juror's asinine opinion. So T1's question, and I always defer to Kay with these kinds of questions. Where is Daniel in his case? What's next?
So, the civil trial's been going on all these years, or, the motions and depositions and all of that stuff's been going on in the background. Because of, I think it may have already been heard if not for COVID, but it's been delayed at least twice because of COVID. And so, that's going to hit the court's docket as soon as vaccinations probably, I don't know, the end of the year, maybe. And then they are working on the petition to the state Supreme Court, which I think that's due the end of March, but I should look that up to be sure. But it's coming right up, the deadline for that. So those are the things. And what we want to get people to get involved with is to try and get conviction integrity units in the DA's offices, because once all of these appeals are already done and they've all been denied, that there's no other way really, as we know, than finding some kind of new evidence to be able to try to get a hearing, or having the ability to have a team of people come in and objectively look at the case like we have and see that, oh my gosh, of course, I mean, they couldn't probably just let him out, although they should see, you know, who needs to be punished for what happened with him. But we have to get, we have to get those conviction integrity units in place, because it's a hopeless feeling to think that all appeals have been denied and you're just sitting there for 263 years. You can't even start getting, well, of course, they ran them all consecutive too. So he's come up on some parole hearings that, they just want him to say that he's sorry and they want him to take a sex offender class or whatever. And he's not going to do any of those things because he's innocent. So, we're just looking at a really long road for him, and really knowing that we're going to need to get involved in politics to make some changes that, like I said earlier, are going to affect more people than just him. And that's what we really need to be doing anyway.
Thank you. Very good.
I stayed up all night right now.
She's probably not kidding. Well, she's
I am kidding. God.
I don't know.
I write my stuff. I write my material, folks.
She writes her own material.
I write my own.
Darkside says they should have checked the radio and the black cop that the black cop did did the time and date and who it was. They I have a picture of who my possible. Should I grab that picture and show it to you guys?
Well, so later Alexander Edwards was arrested. This was after Daniel was convicted, and so we end up finding out that is this what am I telling the whole story of what you're searching for?
No, you go right on ahead.
No, if that's what I'm doing, I don't want to do that.
No, you're not telling. I mean, I'm just going to show a picture. You tell the story, I'll show the picture.
So, we did find out after the fact that he was working just adjacent to Daniel's district on the night of the Sherry Ellis allegations that they manufactured with Daniel's ABL.
Do you think about that guy? Well, that guy, folks, do you think that looks like a black cop?
That looked like a short black guy with one shade darker than Sherry, or one shade lighter than Sherry's.
Sherry Ellis. Some of you don't know that yet, but you will by next week. What's that? Well,
you should create a side by side of those.
I will. I'll do that for next week. Definitely. Too tall. So yeah. Now tell that again about what you found out about his activities the night of Sherry Ellis's.
He was on patrol that night.
He was on patrol. Yeah.
He was just like a mile and a half away, I believe it was. Don't write a book about that.
Well, if we call it fiction, can we?
No. Yeah, it's a maybe, but he was close. He was in the adjacent district. I think it was a mile and a half away.
But
he gets charged with having sex with a prostitute while on duty. So
I have some information about that that I can share. I just got to make sure that I can share it before I do it. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I better not. I'll get it and put it in Discord, though. That'll be the safest thing. so I don't end up in trouble. I'll put it in Discord though, some information about what's his name, Edwards, Anthony Edwards. But he is Alexander. How whoever the hell these people are, they all have names that I get so confused. Sorry. Yeah, Alexander Edwards. But he's who I like for Sherry Ellis. And you know, if Terri Morris had given a different description of skin color, I might have also, I don't know if we know anything about his whereabouts on the night of the 20th or 21st of May, where Sherry Ellis or Terri Morris was.
It's a good question.
Yeah,
but
we don't. But we need to find out. But we don't know these things. Why? Because they didn't investigate. Just like, you know, Ryan Hilligus didn't get investigated, and you know, Tom Pierce didn't get investigated. You know, just like some of these other, you know, possible Denny people in Stephen and Brendan's case. There are several Denny suspects or subjects or possibilities with Daniel's case as well. Now, having said that, I don't believe that all of these women were assaulted by a police officer. I do believe that Terri Morris was assaulted at some point. I don't believe it was on May 8th. I believe it was on the 20th or 21st. And I know that it wasn't by Daniel. And I do believe there's a possibility. I'm kind of on the fence now these days with Sherry Ellis. And you'll learn why when we do next week's show with some more detail about Sherry Ellis. Maybe, you know, you can form your own opinion. I will allow you to form your own opinion. So anyway, yeah, so there's all sorts of room for doubt, and there's Denny suspects. I haven't yet heard of any Brady violations necessarily, but I'm sure that if we keep digging, I was just going to say, I just barely today, T1, noticed that in last week's chat that you had referred to Cherie and Kay and I as Daniel's dames, and I'm like, I am down with that. I am all over it.
I vetoed it.
Yeah, Kay didn't like it. She's doesn't feel like she's a dame, and I'm all about it. You know, I'm like, I'm fine if you call me a bitch. I'm fine if you call me a, you know, a dame. Oh yeah, call me a bitch. I am a bitch. Call me a bitch. I don't care. I've been, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I am who I am. I wear my bitchness proudly. But Cherie, what was the definition you found of dame?
It's in the UK, it's the equivalent of a knight, Knight.
You picked the nicest one. That's our girl. She's a bright sider.
She is a bright sider. No, T1. Now look, CK, do you see what you're doing now?
No, I didn't bring it up. You did.
Yeah, but
you're on the show. You were in control, and you decided to do that, and you did it. So
yeah, but
look what you did.
Now you got T1 calling us dandelions. Lion maybe, but there is not a whole lot that's dandy about me.
Dandelions. I like it better than dame.
Oh, okay, now it's gonna be a mission for everybody. You guys have to come up with a name for the three of us. I like Daniel's dames, Cherie and Kay not so much. I refuse to be called a dandelion. So keep working on it, T1.
You're not a weed.
Huh?
You're not a weed. You're not a weed.
No, there is nothing weed-like about me.
You want to do better. She's a flower.
Oh God. Okay, we're done with this topic. on to
I'm
something
trying to get
different.
us out of here. Are we?
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go. We've been over. We're over an hour now, and a lot of it's just me BSing and being silly. But thank you guys so much for. But oh, looky there. See, I'm all about this one. Let's go with that. Well,
You meant to
there,
say, yeah, Kay, it's your fault. Is that
yes,
the one
yes.
you were trying to get?
Oh, I can't find it.
Go
Yes,
up to. Go
I
up
can't
to.
find
You
it.
do it.
It keeps slipping away. Everybody stop chatting. There it is.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but Kay, it's your fault.
All right. Mark it down. Mark it down.
Oh, anyway, great show tonight. I am so grateful for the questions. Smart Duck, I'm so glad that you, that you had the questions that you had and that you joined us. And I hope that you'll come in. No, my God, T1, please. I don't have a date. So if you're offering Jack, or if you know somebody's Daniel's Angels, well, I can handle that. No Pussy Willows either. T1. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so um I'm really grateful though, every time we can get somebody new to the case that's interested in uh you know being a part of learning something new, learning a new case, learning as much about this new case as possible. um, we welcome that, and we invite you to join Daniel's Discord as well, or rather Daniel's Truth at our Discord, and keep coming back and watch the videos. Maybe go back and watch some of the earlier ones that we've done, and definitely go listen to in Daniel's Truth. Go find the podcast, Brian Bates podcast. We have links for Michelle Malkin's videos in there. If nothing else, at least I recommend watching Daniel in the Den by Michelle Malkin. It's her YouTube. That's the best place to start. Then you get stuck and you get sucked in like I have, and it becomes very, very important to you to to learn more about this case. So we recommend. You guys are all chatting so fast, I can't get these up here quick enough. Do that, go to Discord and follow us, or join and start looking at the stuff we have in there. Kay, Cherie, if you guys don't have anything else, I'm just going to sit and blather all night if you guys don't we don't find a way to stop me. So
Find a way to stop you.
yeah.
What? What'd you say?
No, I know.
No, seriously though, I just want to say thank you, Smart Duck, for wearing a mask. I thank you. The medical community thanks you. Thank you.
Speaking of masks,
good night.
Nice segue, Kay.
Oh, yeah, mask. Good segue. No, that's not why I said that, but
no, but it did work out really well.
So I planned that.
I know you wrote that in part of your writings last night, right? Masks that we designed for Daniel are in, and they're pretty damn cool, if I do say so myself. There was some concern about the cost mentioned to me, and I'm going to let Kay explain the whole fundraiser of the behind the masks, if Kay would do that for me.
Yeah, the whole thing is, we just got together and bought these masks, and we're trying to raise, I think, what is it, Cherie, 5,800 or 680?
That sounds right.
Pages at $1 a page. So we're just trying to raise the money to buy them. And so, we're going to do a few fundraisers, and, as people are able to, this one is $25, get you the mask, and then we'll get your email address so that when we reach our goal, you'll have access to the entire transcripts from the preliminary hearing and the trial. So this is just the first one. So yeah, let us know if you want to help us get those transcripts.
Yep.
Well, I
So
say public,
it's kind of like a donation to get the transcripts, but you get a mask with it. How's that?
Right.
So it's kind of a little.
Hey, we should create a video, what's the show? The Shopping Network. Can we make a video? We'll be the Shopping Network.
We should, huh?
Okay, I'm sorry. We're out of here. I'm not saying anything else. Good night, guys.
Hey, you know what? When you still have 15 viewers in chat, that's pretty good for us. I say let's just yuck it up a little bit, but it's okay. I don't want to like send everybody running for the hills. But yeah, that, like Kay said, that is the first of our little Discords fundraisers, and it's right now it's just me and Cherie and Kay, trying to get all this together. So if you want to be a part of any of that, please, let us know. We'll take your money. We're not proud necessarily if it goes towards helping Daniel in some way, shape, or form. That, and then again, a reminder: tomorrow night it should be very interesting. I'm working on a plan for how to do it's not going to be under just Rhonda. I don't think our book club thing. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but Jack has been helping me and trying to help me get it all figured out between YouTube and OBS. So tomorrow night, in some way, shape, or form, we will be doing our first book club with Daniel Holtzclaw. So I don't know what time yet. It's all going to be just a big, fun mystery. Our goal, Jack, is just we're pretty close to $6,000. Yeah. So we got lots of money to make. So join us tomorrow. I'll put it in there. It'll be on YouTube. I just don't know exactly how or what it's going to look like. So try to be patient with me as I get that part figured out as well.
No,
And,
damn it. Get your shit together.
hey, listen now. Listen, you.
God.
So tomorrow, if you haven't listened to the introduction and chapter 1 of Death and Justice by Mark Furman, and you love the sound of my voice, go check it out in Daniel's Truth. The introduction through chapter 6 are uploaded and available and ready for your audio pleasure. Having said that, I am done. We are out. Talk to you next time. Peace out.